Let's take a closer look at the derivatives of trig functions. Again, the first two you should already have memorized by now. I'm sure that you do. Derivative of sine is cosine. The derivative of cosine is negative sine. Now, for the other ones that maybe aren't quite as common, but again, I suggest as soon as possible commit these to memory or make yourself a nice little cheat sheet that you can reference. I also have a handout that has the derivatives of the trigonometric functions. So the derivative of tangent is secant squared x, derivative of secant is secant x tangent x, derivative of cotangent is negative cosecant x, and the derivative of cosecant is negative cosecant x cotangent x. So let's do a couple of examples. Again, all rules that we know are free game at this point. So notice I've given you one with a sum, I've given you one with a quotient, I've given you one with a product. So everything that we know, we're sticking it all together. First one obviously is a product rule question because I've got the product of 4x and secant of x. So I'm going to use the product rule that says let's take the first times the derivative of the second plus second times the derivative of the first. So first times the derivative of secant, which is secant x tangent x, plus the second times the derivative of the first. The derivative of 4x is 4. So that's where that 4 came from. Notice I just put the 4 first because I know that 4 should always come before secant x. Otherwise it would look like secant x4 or secant 4x, which is a different solution than 4 times the secant of x. And again, from here I've reduced. So I noticed that 4 secant of x could come out of both terms, which left me with x tangent x plus 1. Second one, I just have the sum of two things, and so I'm going to take the derivative of tangent of x, which is secant squared x, and then I'm going to take the derivative of cotangent of x and then stick a 7 in front of it, which is 7 times the cosecant squared of x. Last one, I've got cosecant x over x, and again this is the quotient rule. So the quotient rule says take bottom times the derivative of the top. Derivative of cosecant is negative cosecant x cotangent x, minus top, which is cosecant of x, times the derivative of the bottom. Derivative of x is 1, so there's a times 1 here that I didn't bother to put in, over the denominator squared, so x squared. And then again I noticed that I could take something out of both, which is that I could take a negative cosecant of x out of both terms, leaving me with x cotangent of x plus 1 over x squared.